Hello and welcome to another edition of Chopped Greens. I am your host, Philip Amerine, sitting alongside my new guest host, Luke Wright. Welcome to the show, Luke.
Thanks for having me. It's going to be a fun time.
Yes, and why don't you give the people at home a little bit of background on you. I heard that you have a blog, that you rather work at a radio station.
Yes, I am an intern at FanRag Sports. It's fanragsports.com. I do a little bit of writing for them, and then on Fridays, they have a radio show on 1060 a.m. It's 7 to 9. I get to show up every Friday morning, and I do the show with the co-host Chris Schubert, and it's always been a fun time. And other than that, I'm a full-time student here at Cronkite.
Fantastic. I'm a graduate of Cronkite, and so we have some Sun Devil blood in us. That's fantastic. So, being from a sports show, I'm sure that you heard that this past weekend, opening day for baseball. All right, we're back into the season, all the games and everything. Now we're going to have fireworks popping off every Friday the beginning Friday of every month for baseball for the Diamondbacks, who I personally don't think are going to have a very good season. You? I
actually think they will.
Really? They did win yesterday against the Giants.
Yeah, they're undefeated.
They are undefeated. We have a winning streak.
Yeah, they're on pace to go 162.
And the Giants are not looking that good as of right now. All right, so why don't we start here? Why don't we do a little projection, towards the end of the year? Okay. We're going to go take turns here, one-on-one, and we're going to go down. Let's start with the American League on who we think is going to end up winning each division. Why don't you go first, Luke, on the East, American League East.
Okay, American League East, I'm going to go with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay.
I like their hitting a lot. I like Jose Bautista, Troy Tulowitzki.
Oh, he certainly has a lot of hitting.
Oh, yeah.
last year getting in a little bit of a brawl.
See, I think that's something that's going to carry over. Jose Bautista is a guy who he loves to play the game. Mm-hmm. And you always see it whenever he plays. He is someone who will get into a fist fight.
And he's filled with passion on that end.
And it's amazing to watch. And then I think with Josh Donaldson over at third, you got Tulowitzki still at shortstop this upcoming year.
No longer a rental.
Sorry?
He's no longer a rental traded from.
No, he's with you for the whole year now. Yeah. And I think with that, your starting pitching is pretty good. You still have Estrada, you have Happ, you have Stroman, you have Lariano, you have Sanchez, and these are people who you can hopefully keep healthy for the whole year. So once they get it all together, I think they're going to be able to take hold of the East, and I think they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs this year.
You know, I think coming out of the East, I really, really like the Boston Red Sox. I know that this is the year after Poppy retires, and I know that that's going to leave a big hole as far as hitting in their lineup. But I just really love their pitching. I have a strong impetus towards pitching. And off of signing Chris Sale, that was a big offseason addition. They've now got, I think I read a stat of they're the first team to have 4 former Cy Young winners.
I think so.
Something along those lines. And I know it's now the kind of trend in baseball. We're moving towards closing pitching and end of the rotation guys as opposed to starting pitching. But I think that you're going to get so much production in the beginning of that pitching rotation that it's really going to carry over, and that's going to translate later into the year because these aren't guys as far as their pitching that are really late in the year. I know a lot of the times that the Yankees, when they started winning a lot of division and division titles, they had a lot of older guys that they were signing towards the end of their peaks. Chris Sale is really young. We've got a lot of the other guys on that team that really hold up well throughout the rest of the run, and I really like a good home field advantage. I feel like their home record is going to be enough to get them into the playoffs, and I think it's actually going to take them pretty far down the road. So let's go to the Central American League Central. Who do you got winning that specific division? I mean, again,
no surprise here. They were in the World Series. I got the Cleveland Indians. I got them not winning the whole thing, but I do have them as a little sneak peek for the future. I have them in the World Series.
Okay.
But with Brantley out in left field, you have Lindor at short. You have Kluber, and although I don't think he'll be the same as last year, he's still going to be a strong ace in your hole. I think that what hurt them last year was they got hurt at the wrong time. They had the wrong people hurt at the wrong time. And if they can, again, I said this with the Blue Jays, but if they can stay healthy, if they can keep that starting 5 rotation healthy throughout the season and the postseason, they're going to make some noise. They're going to be able to repeat the same sort of success they had with Encarnacion now as their designated hitter, and then you got Santana over at first base. So just overall, I think that they are going to be a scary team that people are going to have to be afraid of for the whole year.
You know what? I like that last year they were kind of flying under the radar until the right time, which really works in your favor. This year, that's not going to happen as much. They're going to be kind of predictable as far as a threat level. I think everybody's going to come at them at the right thing. I'm with you on them winning the Central American League, but I feel like that's them losing in a World Series that not only should they have won, but they were winning in spite of themselves. They had a 3-1 lead, and they should have won. And even in that last game, they weren't gassed, and as we see in a lot of teams. And I think that they're going to make a run this year. They're not going to have that disappointing season that follows a win, which I kind of project for the Cubs. I don't think the Cubs are going to make it back to the World Series this year.
On pace to go 0-162.
They are just looking awful as of right now. I don't even want to project that out. But the Cleveland Indians, I have winning the American League Central Division. As per the West, I've actually got the Astros.
Do we agree on this one as well? I got the Astros.
All right, what's your case for the Astros?
Their starting pitching to me, other than obviously their ace, I'm not 100% sold on.
Right.
I think that they will be good enough to where that they'll be able to win the majority of their games.
Well, they're still so young.
They are, and that's the problem.
It's a bonus and a detriment at the same time.
I'm with you, and I'm a huge pitching fan.
Right.
But when you have young pitching, you never know. For all you know,
wildly erratic. It comes and it goes.
And you never know. For some people, Patrick Corbin's a great example here locally. Mm-hmm. Amazing year. He was in consideration for the Rookie of the Year, his rookie year. He got hurt. Last year, he just had a down year overall. And it's just, when they're young and they're still trying to figure things out, they just you don't know for sure what they can do. But I think with Altuve over at second, Correa in short, Reddick out in the right field, when you have 2 experienced catchers with McCann and Gaddis, I think that their hitting will be able to carry the younger pitchers when it's day 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
And they'll be able to carry them until day 1 when you get Keuchel back in there.
I think that a lot of the times in baseball especially, it's such a grind, more so than any other sport, because it's longer. It's a longer season than any other sport outside of maybe soccer. I think that while youth gives you a lack of experience that other teams are going to prey and take advantage of, I think in a lot of those situations where they can just out-energize you and out-talent you just on pure talent, I think that's going to come in handy and help them make a playoff push. Maybe not in the beginning. Maybe we won't see that in the beginning of the year where teams are well-rested coming off of just a few light spring training games. I think that they might have a rocky beginning, but towards the end of that schedule, it's going to really lighten up. I think that they're going to be able to take advantage of that and make a playoff push towards the end of the year. Maybe make one of the wild cards. But I have in the wild cards as of right now, because really we don't know. There's usually a team or two. Last year it was the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah.
We usually have a couple teams that just for some reason come out of there that we had no idea. It's not the NBA where it's pretty much predictable down to the T. Wild card, I have the Oakland A's, and I have the Yankees coming out of the American League. 2 teams with a lot of potential that I see just for no other reason, just coming out of there with, much like the Astros, coming out with the Yankees are coming with a youth movement, I feel. And really, I don't see any other strong contenders. Maybe I'm leaving out the Tampa Bay Rays, but outside of them, I don't feel strong about any other team. I can't make a case for them, and in light of that, I'm going to say that the Yankees and Oakland A's. How about you?
One team you've actually mentioned as a division winner, I got the Red Sox.
Okay.
I think they're still going to, I don't think that they'll win the division. I think they're still going to have a great year. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to be one of those teams that is better than another division winner, but because they didn't win their division, they have to go in the wild card, which, if I'm being honest, don't want to get off too much on that tangent. I hate that.
Oh,
I absolutely hate it.
Oh, you're a stodgy.
I'm okay. Company. No, I'm okay with a division winner going to the playoffs. I just hate when they get home field or any sort of preferential treatment, even though their record was worse than a wild card.
Oh, so okay. I thought that what you were arguing was the existence of the wild card game.
No.
Okay.
Love it.
Okay.
Love the wild card game.
Okay, so we're in agreement there.
No.
So what you're saying is record demands seeding.
Yes.
Okay.
Across the board. I'm okay with you giving division winners, you deserve a award for winning your division. Okay. Totally accept that. I believe that by winning your division, you get a ticket to the playoffs. Right. But once that's it. That's all you get for winning your division.
Is you a guaranteed spot in the playoffs?
Yes. Outside of that, I don't think you deserve home field advantage over someone else and you see it more in football than anything else.
Right. That's where the 7-9 Seahawks with the losing records get into the playoffs and host a Saints team that came out the year after the Super Bowl and had a true playoff and Super Bowl berth on the line, and they just get knocked out because of that 12th man. Yeah,
and so, I won't go too much on that tangent.
Right.
Well, we can talk about that another week.
We'll talk about that another time. I think I have a compromise that you might find suitable.
Okay.
But the Red Sox, and who was your last one?
I love Detroit.
Yeah.
They're a slightly more experienced team.
Of course, that's a nice way of saying that they're old.
But yes, but Verlander should have been the Cy Young. He absolutely should have been the AL Cy Young. The fact that two writers didn't even have him on the ballot is a joke.
I hate baseball writers, and it's not... a lot of them know what they're doing, and they're forthright and coming, but it's those random people just down in Tampa who just vote for Tampa people. It's very regionalized. I don't understand how the system works most of the time because they won't show you their ballot. I'm so glad that they're changing their Hall of Fame votes now this year to you get to see who votes where.
Yeah. And then also... Cabrera, he's never gonna. His Triple Crown race
is now.
He's still
in the background.
He's still a dangerous hitter.
Oh yeah.
No pitcher sees him coming up to the plate and he's like, this will be an easy out, guys. Let's just wrap it up now. No, he's a dangerous hitter. So I think with that experience, Detroit will be able to get a wild card spot. I'm not sure if they'll make a deep run, but I think they'll be able to get the wild card.
So then, who out of the American League do you see making the deepest run? Who just goes to the World Series?
I haven't been able to convince myself of one team yet. Mm-hmm. I think it will be between the Indians and the Red Sox.
Okay, and in your scenario, the Indians hold home field advantage.
Yes.
Does that play a part in maybe now which one makes it to the World Series?
Yeah, I think Boston could win a road game and even it up, but
well, let's be honest here. Even though they won't have a Game 7 on their field, in your proposed scenario, I don't think Cleveland has a true home field advantage as much as Boston does. And in baseball, it's actually rather rare. I feel that it's probably one of the least amount of home field advantages you can have just because of how baseball is structured. Mm-hmm. A crowd can't per se motivate it by making a loud and obnoxious roar.
It's hard to do that over baseball.
Correct.
Compared to any other sport.
So with that, I think that if they have a true home field advantage in their games that they have and they just got to win one, I think that they make it.
I think the Red Sox could take it. I think it will depend on how some of the Cleveland Indians starting pitching rebounds. If they rebound and improve, I think that they'll be able to take it. But it's just right now, after only seeing 6 teams play,
right?
I can't for sure say who. But if I had to pick one,
Feet to the fire. Luke's picking
Indians.
All right. I'm actually, ironically, going with the Red Sox. I think I'm bullish on them this year. Of course, every year it's a crapshoot. You just got to make it in. More so than any other sports league we have. I feel like it's just whoever gets hot at the right point. So picking at the beginning of the year is a little bit pointless. However, the Boston Red Sox, they're seasoned. I think that they have the right mix of seasoned with young. I like their blend, and I even think that there's truth and merit to the possibility of bringing back Poppy mid-season. I don't mind it, and if they do that, especially more so, I feel even more confident in my pick of the Boston Red Sox making it to the World Series and making producers and executives happy on anybody who carries Major League Baseball.
Okay.
So, moving on to the National League. The National League East. Luke Wright has...
Nationals.
Okay, so, yeah, going a little chalky.
Yeah, I just... Looking, Scherzer, Strasburg, Gonzalez, even Rourke at their fourth spot in the rotation. You got Zimmerman on first. You got Rendon on third. You got Jason Worth. You got Adam Eaton. You got Bryce Harper. I cannot see a scenario that you don't win. That you don't win. Matt Wieters at catcher. I didn't mention him. That you don't win this division. The only possible thing that I could think of is if everyone gets hurt and the Mets in my opinion, overperform just because, and I'll talk about the Mets a little bit later, but I think the Mets are really the only true competition that they have in this division this year.
Funny you should mention the Mets as the only competition they have, because I, Luke Wright, picked the Mets to win this division. You know what they say in life, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Tell me, how did the Nationals get better this year? They have Dusty Baker, who I feel is not going to ever win a World Series.
Damn.
They have... it's harsh, but life is. Bryce Harper, even though he's playing, he just got some money. I think he's going to play a little contempt. He's a little worried about profile nowadays. I think Max Scherzer is getting a little up there in age. I see a little bit of a decline. We're starting to get into those declining years. I don't like it as much. The Mets, who have just won their first game against the Braves, and I'm going off the heat streak right now. I'm going to say the Mets taking the East, upsetting the Nationals. Dusty, bye-bye.
I mean, I'll admit, I'm not a huge fan of Dusty Baker as a manager.
Yeah.
But there's just so much talent on that Nationals team. And Bryce Harper had a bad season.
Well, for him, it was an off season.
For him, it was a bad season.
For him, it's a bad season.
For Bryce Harper, it's a bad season.
Yes.
And we'll get to that motif a little bit later on, too, when we talk about the Diamondbacks. But overall, I just think it's too talented. That's the difference to me in baseball more than any other sport, with just how obnoxiously long the season is. You don't need to get significantly better every single offseason to be able to maintain the same kind of success you had, just because your talent will prevail. Over the course of 162 games, your talent will eventually win out compared to football where you only got 16, or basketball.
And the percentage of luck is more so inclined to take over. I can see that point. That point is fair but incorrect in this specific scenario, only because I feel that Bryce Harper might take a couple days off. I feel like this whole resting epidemic that we're seeing in the NBA is going to start to take effect in the Major League Baseball. In fact, I just because I am so in disbelief of this Nationals team, I realize how talented they are, and a lot of people have them in the World Series. I'm going to go out on that limb. When everybody zigs, Philip's going to zag. I'm not even saying that they're making I'm saying that they're not going to make it out of the wild card round.
Okay, there's no way.
There's no way they don't make the playoffs.
Okay.
I know. I wanted to go out there, but I just can't see it. Anybody else in the National League fulfilling that? The Brewers aren't going. Even the Pirates might not even go. But All right, going to the National League Central. Is there anybody else but the Cubs? Yeah, that's the. It's pretty much a done deal. Even though I just used, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. When you're that young, and the only way that they got worse actually is by losing their closer. Where did he end up? I forgot.
Oh, I don't remember off
the top of my head. I can't recall either. Somebody will tweet us out.
Oh, Chapman.
Yeah,
he went to New York.
He went back to the Yankees.
He signed that big old contract.
That's right. He went back to the Yankees. Yep. It was between the Cubs and
kind of disappointed that I didn't remember that off the top of my head. But yeah, it's one of those things. Who's their competition? You have Pittsburgh, who a couple years ago they had that span where people thought they were going to get really good, and it didn't pan out. The Reds and Brewers don't really have anything that wows me. Cardinals are the Cardinals. It's hard to always
not have the Cardinals in. Just because of the Cardinal way, you predict that they'll at least be respectable enough to be viable for a playoff position.
And I think a key, if you're not better, you're worse. But like you said, when you're this young,
you're getting better by deficit of experience.
Yeah, just the fact that you're gaining a year of experience, that you're gaining a year of quality postseason and World Series win experience.
That's true.
That alone makes you better.
People, looking back on it now, and I think as we go forward from this point, I think people are going to look back and think that it was an easy win for the Cubs, that it was an easy narrative. Actually, they had a lot of hardships. I thought that they weren't going to make it past the Giants in their first round playoffs.
And something that we're forgetting, Schwarber will hopefully be healthy this whole season.
Oh yeah, he was only able to help them in patches in their playoff run.
Yeah, and he showed up for the World Series and he helped out a little at the start of the year, but I mean that was almost it. So he's going to be healthy. Everyone, Chris Bryant's going to have more experience. Wilson Contreras is going to be able to come in on his own. Anthony Rizzo's just a freak of nature.
Oh, yeah.
So I just,
And you know what you're forgetting, Luke? Forbes just named Theo Epstein
don't say
as the number one leader in the whole world, beating out Pope Francis. That's right. With Theo, I trust.
I don't. I talked about this on the radio with the host Chris Schubert, and we both were infuriated. Theo Epstein, he's not even the manager. His job is just to put the people in the position to succeed.
Hey, organizations win championships, not the players.
No, it's just, how are you going to say he's a better leader than the Pope?
Oh, the Pope.
It's the Pope.
The Pope.
I do not want to get started.
Maybe he has his own Pope-mobile. Maybe Theo has a...
I highly doubt that Theo has a Pope-mobile, but you know what? Maybe he does.
Okay, moving to the West. Do you want to go out on that limb and say the Diamondbacks? Are you willing to ride that roller coaster?
I'm not for the division.
Okay.
When we talk about wild card, we might have a little surprises here.
All right. Let's go for the division.
For the division.
And another one, drum roll.
We've got the Dodgers.
Dodgers, yeah.
Kershaw will hopefully be healthy this whole time.
I really love their management down there in Los Angeles. I love their Moneyball approach with money. It's
just throw money at whatever players they need.
Well, but they're efficiently using it. I mean, ever since their new regime came in with the implants from the Oakland system, I really like how more efficient they're using it. They've been kind of trying to cut down the payroll and at the same time use an influx of people that other people's garbage is now their treasures, and I really like what how they've been adding pieces inexpensively and really just using, they've kind of needed it with injuries, especially this past year, being decimating that team.
Right now I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4. They have 6 people on the DL to start the season.
Excellent. They're starting off strong.
Including Ethier, Kazmir. So, I mean, they're already not in a great position injury-wise, but hopefully, if they get hurt early, that means they'll hopefully be healthy later on.
And I don't know what they did to establish, to fix the problem of being able to hit left-handed pitching. They weren't able to hit left-handed pitching at all last year, and yet they didn't seem to address that in the offseason at all.
No, but I think Puig's going to get better.
Well, he just got moved down to the 8th spot in the batting order.
Oh, okay.
That just came out today.
And I think it'd be hard for him to get any worse though. So I mean, he's a big bat. He didn't have the best year, but I think he'll be able to pull it together. The 8th spot's probably a good spot for him this year until he can prove that he can get back up. Jock Peterson, he's not.
He can't hit worth a lick, but he's a phenomenal defender.
He's a good defender, and he can't make contact to save his life. But if he makes contact,
I think he's tried
that ball's going out.
Well, to his point, he's tried every single swing I can think of outside of between the legs and and everything, but nothing seems to work for him.
But with Seager, Forsythe, Gonzalez, even Grandal at catcher and Turner at third, I think they'll be able to really. And that's the thing. In the West, you don't have to be that great to win.
No, you got a nice division advantage. It's not even a home field advantage. It's
just a whole division.
Yeah, just pick up easy division wins outside of the Giants.
Historically, Rockies are still relatively new. They've been around since '93. Diamondbacks have started play in '98.
Yeah.
But the Padres have pretty much always been bad. And the Giants this year, I think they'll be bad too. They needed to address their bullpen, and
they pretty much sat pat this year.
They got one reliever in Will Smith. He's gonna have Tommy John surgery. So the one major addition you put in that bullpen gone for the year.
That's a year of wasted money.
And we saw it just last night on opening day. They had a lead in the 9th. Melanson blew the save, and if that continues, the Giants will be out. So I like the Dodgers to win their division.
All right, moving on to the wild card round. I'm going to pick one of the teams you just bagged on. I'm going to pick the Giants. I make a lot of great points. The only thing I can really come back at you with is that the Giants, it was either the Giants or the Cardinals. And you just got to believe in one way, just because one of them always finds a way to make it, if not both. The Cardinals, I was really more so up in the air, picking the Giants purely out of heart, and I love their manager. And that's my defense. You can riddle me with bullets all you want, and we'll see who's laughing at the end. I'm not saying that they're going to make it to the World Series, but as far as the wild card, maybe even out in the first, second. but I'm picking the Giants and the Nationals. So maybe the Giants eke out an experienced win over the Nationals, and Dusty Baker's fired after this year. Who knows? But who do you got, Luke Wright? Who do you got in the wild card?
Like you, I flipped it. Mm-hmm. I had Nationals winning division. You had Mets winning the division. You had Nationals in the wild card. I have Mets in the wild card.
Okay.
That starting rotation is just fire. It is.
The Mets could actually scout.
Right?
And that's the only way that they can ever spend money, though.
And it's pretty much primarily all on their starting pitching. Which, granted, if you're four of your 5 starters combined for an ERA of like 2.5, you're gonna win most of those games, even if you don't have a good offense. So, and the Mets are a team that if you can just hit 2 home runs a game for 3 runs. They're going to win, I think, the majority of their games. I don't think it'll be enough to win the division. I don't think it'll be enough to necessarily go and win a World Series. But it'll be enough to get to the playoffs. Right. And with that starting pitching, if they can excel in the playoffs as well, you have 4 starters. That's all you need. That's 4 games out of...
And they grew up organically together. Yeah. They do have... this isn't implementing a Max Scherzer in the offseason. This isn't implementing a brand new Chris Sale where you have to get them used to your environment, your place. No, they know New York.
They grew up.
They've grown up together to become this what is that? Quartet? This quartet? Well, yeah.
Or a quartet, yeah.
This quartet of starting pitchers who are all excessively viable. They very well could be starting pitchers on 2/3 of the major league teams.
Just to real quick wrap up my wild card, I have the Diamondbacks.
Yes.
Starting pitching can't get much worse than it did last year.
Is that a bit of homerism for you?
It's really not.
Truly?
It truly...
Right.
It's the fact they're starting pitching, like I said, it can't get worse. It really can't.
You gotta hope something comes out of Greinke.
You have like 2 or 3 starting pitchers who all had an ERA of 5 and over.
Mm-hmm.
Greinke was hurt, and he was coming back from that. So he missed a lot of time, and there was a lot of time where he couldn't perform at his top. And he will never be a 1.68 ERA like when he won the Cy Young in LA. But he can be a 2.3. He can still be a 2.5, and that's good enough.
Even when he was doing that and everybody was concerned about his contract and the Diamondbacks signed him, the one positive that everybody said is unlike most speed pitchers, he was more of a form pitcher, which translates very easily and lasts a lot longer. It's something that you can work as a wily serviceman, as an older veteran player.
The starting pitching was what I was worried about last year because they have one of the best offenses in the whole league. And you can, Goldschmidt had quote unquote a down year, still hit over like 300, still had 20 home runs. It's insane that we consider that a down year for a player, but that's how good he is. You have AJ Pollock back, David Peralta will be healthy. Brendan Drury's going to be here full time. Jake Lamb exploded into the scene last year. I think that they'll be able to win a wild card, and I think they'll be able to get into the wild card. I don't think that they'll get to the World Series, but I think that they'll surprise some teams this year.
All right, so coming out of the National League, who you got going to the World Series?
I'm going to say Cubs again.
So you're even predicting a rematch of last year.
Yeah.
Do you know how unlikely that is in baseball?
It's incredibly unlikely, but this early in the season, I'm going to have to just kind of go with what we saw last year. I don't think any teams in the NL improved.
So you're strong
much
about the Cubs. You feel excessively well about the Cubs.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident.
Okay, and then it's just the Indians where I could persuade you to go to the Red Sox.
I'm pretty confident with Cubs. The AL is the one where I could see maybe 2 or 3 teams. I could even see the Blue Jays being able to sneak in there. So
I feel that the World Series is going to go to the Red Sox and the Dodgers. Yes, I know the Dodgers. It seems a little weird, but hear me out. If they're all healthy, and that's a big if. They've got a lot of injury-prone players. That's a big if.
Right? Got 6 on the DL.
Yeah, right already. But you know what? That just means that they're due. They're due to be healthy at some point. But if they're all healthy, I love their entire roster from top to bottom, and that you can plug and play. That you can really just make matchups. So no matter who they face, they can really just put out their best lineup, and it's not just the standard lineup that they put for everybody else. You can really have, outside of Kershaw, you have in the outfield just whoever you need, whoever best suits the team and where they hit, where it's going to land, and you can really make the best lineup and prey on the other team's weaknesses. I like their versatility. And then as far as the Red Sox, I just see a really big year from them, and I love their like I said earlier, their fusion of veteran players along with their fusion of younger players who are going to, I see, really top off on their potential. And I also think that Poppy will come back if they're looking that good. That's just my personal feeling, and he'll create a little bit more magic.
Okay. Maybe
a little wishful thinking, but and you could very easily persuade me on the Cubs. I don't know if I believe that this team can withstand doing that whole magical journey again another year. I feel like it was all that they could do to just do the one. I feel like since they're young, they'll fall to complacency and just kind of cruise control through here, thinking that they can do it. Might be wrong, probably wrong, but.
Again, that's the magic of opening day of a new season.
Oh, yes. Everybody's got a shot.
You never know. You just, as this early, we can talk about all these additions and what happened last year and this and that. But the fact is, you just don't know for sure until
No.
we get closer to the playoffs.
And when Kershaw goes down for Tommy John surgery, I will change my pick. All right, and moving to picks to win it all. Just a quick little tidbit as far as since tonight is the final matchup of the March Madness, NCAA March Madness. Let's just do a quick tidbit. How did your bracket look by the end of it all?
Absolutely awful.
Oh, God bless you.
I had Carolina out in like the Elite Eight. I had Gonzaga out in like the Sweet 16.
I think everybody had Gonzaga out and after the first round.
I didn't have South Carolina. I had Arizona winning it all.
I had Arizona winning it all too.
Yeah, it's just, and as Arizona State students, that hurts. It hurts.
Yes. And I was, to make it worse, I was playing against Gary. We have a bracket challenge that I'm forcing him to wait until it's all over before he wins his bet, which is he can pick out my profile picture and post one post for me. So I'm dreading it. It's probably going to be Lord of the Rings filled. Probably. But I had Arizona winning it all. Duke was pretty far down there. Kentucky made it to the final.
I had Kentucky losing when like a game before they did.
Right. Well, that's not too bad.
No.
I had Kansas in there. My Final Four was just off. To be fair, though, I think everybody at least had 3 of those wrong, if not 4. I don't know who put Gonzaga in the Final Four.
I had Michigan going deep.
Well, that was looking pretty good up until a point.
I was feeling it.
Yes.
Michigan started winning. I was just
they looked like a team of destiny. Yeah, and Luke's over there saying, yes, sir. Oh my goodness. So tonight we see the Tar Heels and the Gonzaga Bulldogs?
Yep.
Yes. I didn't know what their mascot was. If it was like some weird the English Terriers or something. No, but the Bulldogs. Who do you got going tonight? Who do you got winning it all?
I got the Bulldogs.
As do I.
Okay.
I feel like UNC's been on edge this whole tournament, just kind of really playing it tight. I feel that Kentucky could have won it had they hit a few more free throws. Gonzaga hasn't really looked uncomfortable until this last game, and I like their size.
Yeah. It's just, like you said, their bigs are versatile. Mm-hmm. Nigel Williams.
Can you say their center? Can you say Gonzaga's center name?
Karnowski?
Karnowski era.
I want to say it's Karnowski-ish.
It's Polish. It's Polish.
Yeah, and then on the other side, Justin Jackson's great. Phenomenal. Mm-hmm. He really helped his draft stock. Meeks, I don't think he'll be able to match up. I know he got a huge rebound against Oregon. I don't think he'll be able to match up the whole game against Gonzaga's bigs. Joel Berry, you could tell the last couple games he has just been hurt, and you can see it when he plays. He was like 2 of 14 against Oregon. That's not going to cut it against Gonzaga. Williams Gross is just going to absolutely go off. Williams Gross Hayes, I think, or whatever his whole name is. I think he's just going to absolutely go off this game. I have Gonzaga winning it. I think it'll be a great game.
Yeah, I don't see this as a letdown game.
But I mean, if we both have Gonzaga, they should. Why are they?
UNC's going to win. UNC's going to win. That's what that means.
Just end it.
UNC's going to win in a blowout.
It'll be over by half.
Yeah, Gary's gonna come on later and just start bragging on everything. But you know what he can't brag about is his Gimme 5, because I've been beating him down. I'm so glad that you're here now to do an official version of Gimme 5. We'll have fun on the other side of this music break. All right, here we go. And we're back. All right, Luke, here we go. This is the part of the show, Gimme 5. I have 5 questions for you. You've got 5 questions for me. We've never heard it before, but we're going to answer them. That's for sure. And my slate of questions are excellent, Luke. I hope you're ready for this.
I'm ready. I've mentally been preparing myself since you first asked me to appear, and I'm psyched. Let's go.
He looks mentally cleansed. All right, Luke. I'll set up the tempo here with our first one. Luke, this past weekend was jam-packed with sports events, and chief amongst those was WrestleMania. But this year, there truly was an iconic event that had never happened before in WrestleMania history. John Cena, upon winning his match with his longtime girlfriend, Nikki Bella, got down on bended knee and proposed. Luke, do you think that this was a good idea or a bad idea on Cena's part? Because we all know how big an event this is for every woman, and to propose so publicly might be a bit of a reach. What do you think?
I actually am a wrestling fan.
All right.
I'm not as much as I used to be when I was a kid. I was very much into wrestling. Yes, it's scripted. No, it's not fake. Fight me. Don't at me on this. You will be wrong, and you will lose this argument 10 times out of 10.
He has fists ready
I'm
to
ready.
fight anybody who has a contrary opinion on this.
Square up right now. I don't follow it as much as I used to, but I watched the pay-per-views. I watched all of the actual WrestleMania, and I watched some of the pregame.
Well, if you watch it even a little bit, you have to watch WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And me and my dad, we've been watching WrestleMania. We went to WrestleMania when it was here in Glendale.
Was that the Rock and Cena pay-per-view? Was that the main card?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Rock Cena was the next year.
Okay.
But my year was the year Taker, Shawn Michaels last match.
Oh, that was fantastic.
It was great.
That was one of the best matches.
Absolutely. But I personally, you have to kind of know a little bit more backstory.
Okay. Set us up.
I think everybody who really watches WWE a lot knew this was happening.
Right.
They knew, so John Cena's going to win, and she's going to propose, and she's going to cry and say yes, and they even took a shout out to his mother, who was in the stands. Yes, and it's not a bad move, because if you watch, they have a separate show called Total Divas, and it's about the WWE divas, and obviously his girlfriend Nikki is one of the divas, and so they've been mentioning, how she's the one who wanted to get married, and John's the one who was kind of like, I'm not sure if I want to commit to this yet, I'm just not sure if that's where I am in life. So on his part, it was genius. This is the biggest event of theirs. This is like if Peyton Manning had proposed to his girlfriend after winning the Super Bowl. Like, that's memorable. Mm-hmm. There's no way you can get more memorable than winning a match at WrestleMania. So I think it's a great idea. I loved it. I knew it was coming from a mile away. I wasn't surprised. I was a big John Cena fan when I was younger, and now my excitement's kind of tapered off for him. I'll be honest, the most exciting part about WrestleMania for me was the Hardy Boys coming back.
Yeah.
I was huge. I am a huge Hardy Boys fan. Favorite wrestler was Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy is exciting.
He is. When he jumped off the ladder onto a guy on another ladder. And I even told my dad, before WrestleMania started, I was like, hey, how much you want to bet the Hardy Boys are going to come back? And he's like, no, they already said that they're going to stay with Ring of Honor. And eventually the tag team match started coming.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you know what would be exciting if the Hardy Boys showed up? And then the hosts came out and they're like, they'd made this a fatal 4-way. And I was slapping my dad's arm. And I was like, I know.
It was a twist of fate.
And then the music played. I just lost
the little fangirl inside of you just broke down?
Absolutely broke down. But so, yeah, I think it was a great idea. I loved it.
All right. Well, just a quick word. I think that it was an awful idea, because when they get a divorce in about 2 years, they always have to look back on this and be like, well, I was on steroids, so what could you do?
I mean, they've been together 3 years. And, this is a very common thing to happen in the WWE. Mm-hmm. The Miz and Maurice are married in real life. That's not a storyline. Edge is married to a wrestler. Beth Phoenix. She doesn't wrestle anymore, but she was inducted into the Hall of Fame last night. Or technically 2 nights ago. But yeah, she's a Hall of Famer now. They're married. A lot of wrestlers marry and date other wrestlers just because their lifestyle, they're always on the road and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll work out great.
All right, fantastic. Your turn, Luke.
Okay. This is kind of more of a first date question, since this is our first podcast together.
Yes. Let's get together.
So I want to know a little bit more about you. Mm-hmm. Who would you want to have dinner with out of anybody in the world, past or present?
It is an excellent question, Luke. And you know why? It's because I think that the best person to have dinner with has to be someone with a secret and was buried with it. We'll never know what their answer or what the truth is about it. So I'm going to have to go with somebody who died. Past that, I'm thinking somebody along the lines of Abraham Lincoln or John F. Kennedy, because I've always thought that the presidents hold the most information and you'll never truly know. So let's go with even better. Take it all back. Tupac. Right there.
Tupac.
Let's go with Tupac. Do you know how much street cred I would get if I talked to Tupac? Oh my... Well, probably. He's probably in an Amazonian jungle somewhere, just chilling.
I thought he was just hanging out in Jamaica or Bermuda or one of those Caribbean islands.
Yes, it's all coming clear to me now. I would want to talk to Tupac, ask him where his lost albums are.
Okay.
Tupac. All right. Luke, today is National PB&J Day. And in honor of today, I will give you a list of weird items I found that people put peanut butter or jelly on, and you tell me if you'd give it a shot, all right? Especially in the baseball realm, they do all this crazy gadget stuff.
Some of those foods that I saw that are new to ballparks, I want to go visit just for those.
Oh my gosh, Luke, this is right up your alley.
So you're giving me multiple items, and I choose each one?
No, you just say whether you would give it a shot or not. Just give it a shot or not.
Okay.
So, first on the menu, PB&J omelet. Would you give that a shot?
No, I'm not a huge fan of breakfast items in general. I like pancakes and waffles. Not a big egg fan unless it's scrambled.
All right, that's a no on the PB&J omelet. How about peanut butter on saltines dipped in tomato soup?
I already do that.
That is absolutely disgusting.
Oh my god, it's amazing. I don't know. That's delicious.
That is abominable. All right, jelly on a cheeseburger. I'm guessing grape, strawberry, blueberry?
For me personally, it would be grape jelly.
Okay.
I've never even thought of that. To be honest, I would try it. I'm not sure if I would enjoy it. But that's
you're willing to give it a shot.
I'd be willing to see what the buzz is about on that.
No, that is absolutely the wrong answer. Next one, I have a feeling I already know. Bacon, egg, and cheese, and peanut butter on an English muffin.
Bacon, egg, cheese, peanut butter, English muffin.
Yes, that's a lot. That's a stack.
Bacon, egg, cheese, peanut. If you took out the egg. If it was bacon, cheese, peanut butter, muffin, I'd eat that.
Well, there's your protein right there, I suppose.
Yeah, bacon, peanut butter has... So yeah, I would do that.
That'd be a very salty dish.
It would, but I mean, come on, that's where you get the flavor.
Give it a shot.
Gotta get that sodium.
And last one, peanut butter hummus.
No, I don't like hummus.
Yeah, I'm not...
I don't know why that doesn't even...
I actually believe that most people listening would probably pick that out of everything else, so that's why I put it there. Try to give you an easy layup, but hummus is not for me. I'm not a pita jungle kind of guy.
I'm not.
Unless if they decide to sponsor the show, in which case I go there every
absolutely.
day. Yes.
I love Pita Jungle if they want to sponsor.
Yes.
Well, since you asked me that, this isn't one of my give me five, but it kind of follows along that. Have you ever had grilled peanut butter and jelly?
I've heard that toasted is the way to go, but I've never had grilled, no.
Grill it. Amazing. It's amazing.
That's your recommendation?
I love grilled peanut butter and jelly. Popular Elvis favorite, peanut butter and banana.
Oh, banana, yes.
Solid.
The man died with a sandwich in his mouth on a toilet.
Worth it. If it was a peanut butter banana not toilet, but sandwich on the toilet. I mean, I personally don't eat food on the toilet, but I mean...
Well, they say most men would never leave the toilet if there was a TV installed in the bathroom. That most men would have been surveyed and would be comfortable spending the majority of their time at home on a toilet if there were a TV in the bathroom.
I think it depends on how comfy your toilet is.
Only the best for myself.
That's
your turn, Luke.
Okay. So I am the sports guy.
Of course.
Little bit of a sports themed question here. Mm-hmm. Do you prefer to do college or professional sports?
It's a different type for each. I think what we're seeing now with March Madness up 30% and the NBA down a couple 20% per game as rated a year ago. I think we're seeing a movement towards college sports because you see the motivation more so in college sports than the professional sports as far as March Madness, because even though we're seeing less skilled players, the worst D-League team could destroy Gonzaga or UNC or anybody. Absolutely. So it's not a matter of skill anymore. It's more just, I think people really want to see the effort and the actual caring of a result, because with everybody sitting out, it's really deteriorated the product, whereas March Madness, these kids are crying. Even Kentucky, where they're doing one-and-dones and it doesn't matter to them, their goal is on the NBA prize. I don't think that anybody wants to see these people sit out. So, with that being said, in general, I will say that I skew professional just because, to me, I would much rather see somebody make something that is excessively hard to do look seamless. I think that there's a skill in that, and I appreciate watching skilled professionals at their craft. I enjoy watching Peyton Manning look like an orchestrator, just pointing around and saying Omaha, and yet it means switching up the line and formations.
Do you remember the playoff game between Denver and Pittsburgh? And it was literally Polamalu would just walk up to the line ready to blitz. Peyton would point at him, yell, change the play. Polamalu would run back to change the play again. And so Peyton would point at him, change the play. And they did it until eventually Peyton Manning was like, you know what, just time out. And that was honestly one of my most enjoyable moments. It wasn't even a play. Match. It wasn't even a play. It was just watching Peyton and Polamalu stare each other down and consistently just change plays as a giant FU to the other one. Like, oh, I can see you. Yeah, well, hey guys, we're going to do something else.
Well, it's funny that you say the Steelers. I remember in the loss to the Baltimore Ravens in that first year of Peyton, when the Ravens won it all in the Super Bowl. I remember that a lot of those Ravens with Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, all those savvy defensive players, that was a real game with a lot of veterans who knew each other, and it was just a lot of respect thrown around. And even Ray Lewis to this day says, I wouldn't say these things about how we played Peyton at the time because we respected each other so much. I hated that dude, but I'm going to respect him and not give away his secrets of how we play him as a team and operate on his weaknesses. But it's fascinating to watch all these little tic-tacs and how Peyton especially, we're digging on Peyton, but how him in Indianapolis could just give a look to Marvin Lewis, and they knew they had a connection. It's fascinating.
And I kind of side with you on the whole question. Getting back to the original question, yes. I prefer watching professional just because, I understand the allure of college, and I agree with it, and I enjoy watching college sports. But there's just something about seeing Steph Curry drain a half-court shot consistently.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's a reason why they're pros. And, I think people do kind of overplay the whole, well, they're pros and they don't have the same love for the game as college. And to me, that's not accurate. And yes, sometimes it is. There are certain NBA players that you can tell. Andrew Bynum was a big example. People didn't think that Andrew Bynum loved the game. They just thought he's really good, so he's doing this to make money. Right. And they might be right in his case. But overall, when you see these plays, if you had eyes in your head and a brain in your skull, you knew LeBron winning a championship in Cleveland had nothing to do with money. You knew, just looking at the way LeBron acted, that win was personal. And that win meant more to him than literally anything else in his entire life, except for probably the birth of his children. And
you could see it when he just collapsed on the floor, just sunk to his knees and was just exhausted. He had spent all of his energy into accomplishing the feat.
So I love pros because they are the best at what they do. Because like you said, the worst D-League would destroy Gonzaga or UNC. And the same thing, that's why I get annoyed. Well, Alabama could probably beat Cleveland. No, they couldn't. Because Cleveland, even the worst person on Cleveland was an amazing college player.
Amazing.
There's just, it's not a
valid argument.
No, it's not.
All right, Luke, next question. Today is Doris Day's birthday. The pert and fresh-faced charmer who starred in Pillow Talk and Move Over Darling. However, as Doris was set to celebrate her 93rd birthday, the Associated Press had actually gone and found her actual birth certificate, which showed that she is turning 95, not 93 as she had originally thought. She didn't even know. Would you, Luke, feel proud that you actually had lived 2 years more than you had previously known? Or would you be mad that all of a sudden you were 2 years older?
I'd be mad that all of a sudden I'd be 2 years older. Like, I'd I'd be incredibly angry. Like, are you telling me I could have started drinking 2 years ago?
That's true.
I could have gone to Vegas 2 years ago. I could have been graduated from high school and college 2 years ago. And if I do not believe she didn't know. There's no way that you didn't know.
You just forgot 2 years in your life.
I'm sure as a female, not even female, I don't want to bring gender in, as any celebrity, you want to pretend you are younger than what you are.
Well, if she did pretend, she pretended for a long time. It took till 93. I mean, if it comes out when you're 36 to 38 or 39 to 41, that's a big deal.
She probably lied about it, forgot she lied about it, and the fact that now she's 93, I'm sure she doesn't remember. She doesn't even care.
She doesn't care.
But, like, I just refuse to believe that there's no way she didn't know. Come on. 2 years difference? Her parents had to have told her something.
That's hilarious.
I just refuse to believe anything else.
All right, your turn. That's hilarious.
Okay. We are both Cronkite grads. Mm-hmm. And for those of you who don't know, but I would hope that you'd be able to assume, Cronkite School of Journalism at ASU is for journalists. For me personally, my inspiration was a combination of people like Stuart Scott, may he rest in peace, as well as being able to see athletes who loved to interact with the media, such as Arnold Palmer, may he also rest in peace. Unfortunately, there's a common theme with them. But for you personally, what inspirations did you have as you decided to join our fabulous school here at Cronkite?
Well, my inspiration has to come from a mix of personalities. I think it would be a discredit to not attribute Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, and Colin Cowherd. Those were probably the main three.
Wow. I am never coming back on this podcast.
I know.
I'm sorry to take this serious moment and ruin it right now.
Yeah?
Stephen A. Smith and... I like Colin, but Stephen
I think if you're a true sports fan, you like Colin because he's so tempered and more often than not correct. The reason why I say Stephen A. and Skip, even though I know a lot of people hate them, I think it's the fact that you have to keep watching them that I enjoy it. I'm not saying that I agree with them. Most of the time I don't agree with them. And we look at Stephen A. Smith, he hasn't even predicted the last 6 NBA Finals correctly. In a 50-50 coin shot, he has miscast as a basketball analyst, as a specified basketball analysis. He has misguessed on all the past 6 NBA Finals. But I really respect a lot of his takes, especially on the social side. I really respect that, and the fact that he's able to convey his opinion in such a verified manner and in such a succinct way that you really get entertainment as well as knowledge. And I think if you can actively and successfully give your point in a way that somebody will actually listen to you and not just tune out 2 seconds into it, that's a skill that is worth paying for, is worth watching, and is mimicable, is worth impersonating. So that's a lot of the reason why I say those two, Skip and Stephen A. Yeah. Luke, as you might have known, both Ghost in the Shell and Boss Baby were theatrically released this past weekend. I have the numbers of how all the top 10 box office movies did this past weekend, and I'm going to give you 2 movies in alphabetical order, and you tell me which one did better. Alright, so they're going head to head, and you tell me which one made more money this past weekend. Alright?
Are you just giving me 2, or are we going through all 10?
We're going through all 10.
In sections of 2.
Sections of 2.
Okay, I'm ready.
Alright, you ready?
I'm ready.
Gary would be awful at this game, so I hope you do better.
Okay.
Alright, first one. Kong Skull Island or Life? Which one did better at the box office?
I'm going to go... what was Life about again?
Life was with Jake Gyllenhaal. It's that scary movie about finding
with Mars.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna go Kong. I'm gonna go Kong Island.
You're 1 for 1 already.
Ballin'.
Kong made $8.8 million to Life's $5.6.
I wasn't even interested in seeing that Life movie.
Yeah.
So rip off of a Doctor Who episode, which was probably a rip off of some other episode.
Mixed with Aliens, maybe?
Yeah.
The Aliens franchise. All right, next one. Power Rangers or the Zookeeper's Wife?
Ooh. I'm gonna go Power Rangers. I feel like us millennials probably showed up to this weekend.
This is the third weekend of Power Rangers.
How many was this? The first weekend of Zookeeper's Wife?
It was.
Wife. Who was in Zookeeper's Wife? Because I recognize the title.
It's more of an Oscar film where it's a dramatic film, so a lot of it's more of an artsy film.
Then I'll go Power Rangers.
Absolutely correct. Power Rangers made $14.5 million to Zookeeper's Wife's $3.3.
Thank you, millennials.
Yeah, they did you good.
I guarantee you, we're holding our demographics holding that movie up on our backs.
All right, this one will be a hard one for millennials because they got kind of divided. Chips or Ghost in the Shell?
Oh.
I'll do you the favor. Ghost in the Shell just came out this last weekend.
Yeah. I'll go Ghost in the Shell.
This is unbelievable. You're shooting 3 for 3. Ghost in the Shell with $19 million to Chips. Chips is $4.1 million.
We like our generation likes the actors, but we don't. Chips was like a TV show back in like the.
It looked like Reno 911.
It looked like a not as funny version of Reno 911.
All right, this one is going to. I'm guaranteeing you're going to flub up, and I might be just juking you. So, finally, Beauty and the Beast or Boss Baby.
Oh God.
Yeah, this I left the toughest one for last.
Wait, we've only done. There should be one more.
There should be one more, but there's only one more. I lied.
So there is one more after this one?
No, there is not another one. I didn't write down the last two.
Oh, okay.
It was so unfair that
okay.
I just didn't even write it.
So Boss Babies or
Beauty and the Beast.
Boss Babies came out this weekend.
It did, but Beauty and the Beast is now only a week old. It's Disney, and Boss Baby is with Alec Baldwin. Cookies are for closers.
You know, I maybe it's my own personal bias. I've never been a fan of Disney movies. Mm-hmm. There are some that are good, and I'm sure I have tons of friends who will listen to this and hate me for saying this, but I'm not a fan of Disney movies, especially not Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast was one of my least favorite Disney movies I've ever seen. And I love Emma Watson. I love her so much. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go Boss Babies. I feel like
Boss Baby, cookies are for closers. You're going with Boss Baby?
I think so, like, because you have parents and their kids. So instead of like two teenagers who are watching this, because I don't think most little kids will watch it. So instead of the two teenagers, you're gonna have like a kid or two plus the parents plus whoever else has to be dragged along. I'm gonna go Boss Babies. Lock it in. That's my final answer.
Boss Baby, $49 million. Beauty and the Beast, $47 million. You went a perfect 5 for 5. You now have bragging rights over Gary. Enjoy.
Boom. I'll make sure to text him as soon as...
Yes, he's awful at these games. He usually bats a 1 for 5. I'm gonna have to come up with some harder ones now.
I'm just great at what I do, man. I'm just great at what I do.
Talking about practice, man.
You talking about practice? Not even a game, but practice? Okay, let's see here. Who has been your most enjoyable athlete to ever to watch?
My most enjoyable athlete, I feel like this whole show's been dedicated to him, but I have to say Peyton Manning. I've always had a respect for him, and even back in high school when I was on the verge of being a sports fan, simply because I didn't have a father to grow up with, who was into sports, and I just never was introduced to it until later in life. But I always had a respect and always knew about Peyton Manning, and really, I enjoyed Tebow as well. So,
oh my God.
I didn't know any better, Luke. I didn't know any better. And so, when Peyton Manning succeeded the Tebow era, I just thought it was a perfect marriage of, you know what, this is my last interest, merged with Peyton Manning, really cool guy, so I'm going to have to I'm going to have to be a Broncos fan for life. And thus the story was born. And Peyton Manning has really inspired me to be a Broncos fan. So I'm going to go with Peyton Manning. Tebow really got you?
Tebow just infuriates me, to be perfectly honest.
Let me pray for you over that. Let me take a knee here.
I'll walk out of this podcast recording right now. I think that's a good answer. I've always enjoyed watching Peyton work, even before, my mom is from Colorado, for those of you who don't know, which is probably everybody listening. And so I grew up a Broncos fan. So I've always enjoyed the Broncos, but even before Peyton came to Denver, I enjoyed watching him play because he was not a flashy, athletic quarterback. He was a smart quarterback who would make the right decision with the right person. And I've just always appreciated that. And I've always enjoyed watching that. But growing up, and I was kind of like you in a way, I didn't enjoy sports that much until I hit about sophomore year of high school is when I really got into sports. I kind of knew about football starting in junior high. But once I started really focusing on sports, it was about sophomore year of high school. We've mentioned Gary. The listeners have heard of him. He played in high school. I went to a lot of his games and cheered for him as well as some other high school friends. And for me personally...
Is your answer Gary?
No. Love you, Gary, but...
that's a solid no.
That's a no. And but one of my most enjoyable athletes that I've ever seen, never seen live, and that is AI, the answer.
Oh, practice. I got it already.
Just watching his highlights.
That's a lot of people.
It was just entertaining. And
a lot of players to this day still reference him. Kobe said recently, we all thank God that he wasn't 6'5".
Yeah. And in all honesty, Kobe's right up there for me too.
Yeah.
To me, basketball, in terms of an individual, enjoyable player to watch, has probably by far the most compared to any other sport. And I'm not trying to say that, there are no enjoyable athletes to watch in other sports, but the fact is the most enjoyable part about Bryce Harper hitting a home run is if he does a bat flip and a pitcher gets angry. The most enjoyable part about Strasburg throwing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball and striking a guy out is if he does a fist bump.
The NBA is much more personalized and a lot more close.
Yeah.
You feel more interactive with the players.
Exactly. And not just that, but to me, watching NBA players, they have to display the most athleticism at once.
Oh, yeah.
I always rate the three major sports, baseball, basketball, and football, because let's be honest, hockey, while yes, is popular and is the fourth biggest, it does not come anywhere close to the other three. If you look at it based off of just athleticism to skill, basketball requires the most athleticism, football's in the middle, and baseball's more of a skill game, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, when you can eat a freaking rotisserie chicken while fielding in the field, I don't consider it as big of a sport as football, where if you take a play off, somebody goes in for a touchdown.
Yeah. And so for me personally, watching basketball players has always been the most enjoyable.
Yeah.
Because it's something that I can watch. And Kobe
you can see the reactions as well.
Kemba and Kyrie and Brandon Knight a couple years ago, back when they were still youngsters, playing in the rookie-sophomore game at the All-Star break. They went back and forth, crossing each other. Kyrie was crossing him up. He tried to cross Kyrie up, and they were drilling threes, and that's my favorite part. AI walking over Tyronn Lue. I still will lose it when I see just the video. He just stares him down and walks over him. The disrespect that Allen Iverson had was phenomenal. But yeah, that's my view on all of that.
All right. With April Fool's Day having passed, one fourth-grade teacher decided to prank his students with a fake spelling test. Joe Dombrowski, an educator in Royal Oak, Michigan, handed the quiz out to his kids earlier this week. The twist, none of the words were real. The assignment included words like blorski, as in, I lost my blorski at a carnival, and grr, as in, you told me a secret, and I reacted like, grr? This leads me to ask, Luke, what is the best prank you have ever pulled?
I'll be honest. I absolutely hate April Fool's Day.
Oh.
Absolutely hate it. And it's not like I ever got pranked really badly one day that scarred me. It's not like anything like that.
Right.
It's nothing tragic. I've just always hated it because people don't do pranks on April Fool's Day. People outright lie for sometimes a little comedic effect and then say it was a prank. And that's not a prank to me. So you're more working on a skills like honor. You're just for the people who do a job. You're saying you're not even doing it right. Yes. Now, if you did like a good prank, like at one point I worked at a summer camp. They filled the entire program director's office with a bunch of Dixie cups, and they filled most of them with water, some of them with vinegar. And you had to drink, and he was drinking them to get it because they were all filled, covering his entire office. And so he was drinking water, thinking, "Oh, it's just water," and then he gets to a vinegar one. Oh. That's a prank. Telling your friend that you're pregnant when you're not because it's April 1st is not a prank.
That's a breakup.
Exactly. So I personally only really participated in one prank that I can remember. And it was when I was it was probably junior high, I think. And I came to school with a wrist brace. And I pretended that I had surgery or something over the course of the day. And that was it. And you know, I was in 7th grade, so I always thought I was hilarious when in reality, no 7th grader is hilarious.
Right.
But I've never been a big prankster, so I've never had any good pranks that I've done to anybody.
All right. That's an interesting choice of prank. Just admirably, if any Office fans out there, the best pranks are on The Office and just follow the template and continue.
I haven't watched The Office, but I have heard, you know, that's a big funny part of the show is pranking Dwight. So maybe I'll watch some of those pranks.
Yes.
Were you a big April Fool's prankster back in the day?
I was never really a prankster. I mean, just going and putting a clear plastic wrap underneath the toilet and having a piece of poo or what have you float beneath you just really didn't do it for me. I'm more of a in-life situation prank. I'm a prankster all day of the year, so to make it all culminate in one day is just really straining my artistic muscles, and I just would rather go and get a handicapped cart and just drive around Target rather than put a banana peel in somebody's car pipe, you know. All right, and last question for you, Luke.
Okay, so me and a friend are going to go to London over the summer.
Oh, so this is a real friend. I was thinking of this. I'm asking for a friend. No, this is a real friend.
No, this is a real friend. Me and him, we are both huge history nerds.
Oh,
and awesome. we got it in our heads one day, like, hey, let's start saving up. And over the summer, when we're both not in school, we're not taking any classes, let's go to London for like a week.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And so we've been saving up, and we're ready. We're going to go get our passports. We're going to go start putting our passport applications tomorrow.
Okay.
It's going to be a great time. And
good old time.
Exactly. Now, what that makes me think of is, you know, we're history nerds, so that's why we want to go to such a historic city. We might go down to Paris and see Normandy Beach from there or something like that for a day. For you, what country outside of the United States would you most want to visit and why? And I don't want to hear Mexico. I don't want to hear. I want to
What
go
if
to
I wanted to
Cabo.
get my hair braided for like $1?
Well, then I'd feel very sad for you.
I'd feel very sad, and all the money I save on braiding my hair would probably be spent in gas.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've always had a dream to go to one specific place because, to be quite honest, I hear it smells great and it's got a fantastic reputation. That's Ireland. Their bars of soap that come out of there, I just imagine anytime I'm in the shower, I'm rubbing underneath the pits and I'm just thinking, oi.
You're a bar soap guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, I enjoy a nice bar soap. I switch it up. I go from all three messages, but I go, oi, me lucky charms, they're in the fields of green, and I can find a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, what have you. And I just sit there and I'm showering and I feel as if I'm, I can imagine myself in a pub just being sour and thinking of all my problems at the mines. And it's a really somber moment that I've always wanted to experience in person in a Irish pub or tossing myself around like Julia Andrews in the fields of some windy meadow and singing "The Hills Are Alive" with the sound of music.
No, that's fair. Maybe me and my friend will go to take a day trip down to Ireland too.
Get yourself a potato and a beer in one hand and a potato in the other, and just live the life.
Live the life, man. Yeah, that's fair. That's a good choice.
Yeah, it's not as regal as a history buff enjoyment, and
everyone has
archaeological excavation, but
everyone has their own things.
And for some it's just going down to Cancun for spring break. Mine, I want to smell Ireland in person.
See if it really smells like the bar soap.
Yes. I'll bring a bar soap and
just smell.
Go from back to forth.
Is there a difference?
Is there a difference? I can't tell the difference. Oh my goodness. All right. So we'll be back next week with Luke. Anything you want to plug before we go?
Yes. Fridays 7 to 9 a.m. NBC Sports 1060 a.m. You can listen Monday through Friday to Chris Schubert at 1060 a.m., 7 to 9. I show up personally on Fridays. You can also check out my work at fanragsports.com. Go to the search bar. You can type in Luke Wright. You can also find me on Twitter at Luke Wright 421. That's Luke Wright 421. The right has a W in it.
All right. That's Luke, right? There we go. That's how you remember it. I'm sure that was the first time you've ever heard that.
Actually, that's one of the more original ones. I'm used to Star Wars jokes.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful. That's cheesy. That's low-hanging fruit.
It is.
All right, so join us next week for all the latest in sports talk. And for Chopped Greens, my co-host Luke Wright, I'm Philip Amerine. Thanks for listening.